Only war.
Any idea how long you want this to go for, or just keep going until you think you have enough?
Whenever you feel like shutting the fuck up. It's like, Derek,
all right,
stop talking. Okay. All right, what's up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We are doing a interview with our boy Justin Serrano, who ran the Demons, won his first GT coming into the scene as a part of the Cuddle Buddies. Started this year, so we're going to get to know Justin. We're going to get to know his list, kind of what works for him, why this list is so freaking good, why Justin's such a good player who runs the list, and then we'll kind of get into each game that he played, kind of what worked for him, what matchups he had, and we'll throw like some lists and stuff up so we can go over that. So Justin, real quick, tell us who you are, where you came from, and what got you into 40k.
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me on here. Excited to talk about this journey I've had for the past year, where effectively a little over a year ago, about 3 years ago, I moved to Delaware from San Diego, which was a mistake, but I was either that or get a divorce. So I was like, I should probably stay with my wife. So
Who's
then
such a nice lady.
She is. She's very nice and supportive. Yep. Yes. And now she's hooked. She wants to play. And so basically I'm in Delaware, not a lot to do. I was driving by a store and there was a Warhammer store and I walked in, and then 2.5 hours later of just talking his ears off at the store, Craig, who runs that store, I bought a box and then came home, built it with the wife. We tried it out and then just full gas from there. I get excited. I thought I would like the casual side. I like the big monsters. I like the big Imperial Knights. I thought I would do that. And then quickly I realized the lists I'm making are not casual lists. I'm kind of spending all my time thinking about what works best, where the synergies are and everything else. And I kind of started going that way. But I got lucky enough that in my area, there's a lot of good players at that store, and they just taught me how to play. They would sit me down. They would never, even if the game I would just score almost no points, you'd always learn a lot. They would help me out at that store, and it kind of just get me the bug. That was a Warhammer Wilmington store, so just a small shop. A lot of nice guys I still know, still play with, and still go to tournaments with, and just from there it started on Necrons to kind of get me hooked, then into Custodies, but really it's been Demons for about the past 8 months is really what I've been focused on.
So you've been playing for about a year now, competitively.
Yeah, my first tournament I had an RTT in March of last year, and
wow,
that
so hasn't even been a year.
Yeah.
Hasn't even been a year and you won a GT. That is awesome. That is really cool.
I kind of own it up to the local scene. Our meta. Right now I didn't realize what it was like. So I went to my first RTT. I did well. I did 2-1. I was excited. I was like, this is great. This is fun. And then I went to a different one at a different store, an hour away, called Alternate Universe, which you know very well. And I went, oh, these guys are good. This is a different game now. And then I had to
compared to the local Games Workshop store.
Yeah, it's a lot different. And then I had a small teams tournament, just like 3-man tournament, nothing big. I walk in and this guy's sitting there with his all his figurines that he has, and this little sign and all this stuff. It says 40k Dirtbags on it. I'm like, oh, I think I know this guy, and I realized that you're in my local meta, and yeah, that kind of shows the caliber of what this Northeast meta is like. It's just killers everywhere, super nice guys. They'll kill you with a smile. They'll teach you, but it is, it's a great place if you want to get good. The Northeast of the country is nuts.
Just think about how you started really just a year ago coming into literally brand. Like, did you play any tabletop games prior to 40k?
The most I played was just things like Gloomhaven, which is just almost basically like an RPG board game. It doesn't even count. I've never done anything tabletop before. I played a lot of video games for years. I was always into sports, soccer, tennis, whatever. And then got into Magic the Gathering when I lived in Seattle for years, in San Diego. but this is my first one. So I kind of just dove head first, and it really fits my style. I think I kind of got lucky with running into it at the time I did, because 10th edition is so balanced.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is great. This is a great example of coming in, really no experience of tabletop wargaming, picking it up right away, purchasing, you know, a couple different armies, figuring out what your play style is, playing really great people that not only kick your ass, but they teach you while kicking your ass,
Yeah.
and then eventually you kick their ass, and then it just kind of like goes from there. So it's great. This is just a great story from start to finish, and then having your first GT under your belt is like really, really cool to say. Only looking forward to this, you know, moving forward. So I'm glad we found you, because you, again, I think when we first played you, it was me and Keeble were like, dude, this guy's pretty good. Yeah, not only like just the army, but like how you play. Like you kind of have a natural understanding of how things work, core rules, strats, tactics, stuff like that. So like you think already like a top wargamer would. So having that already built in is just is great. So Demons, you've been playing for about how long now?
Yeah, no, I appreciate all that. I've been playing Demons for, I think, around 8 months or so. I kind of switched off. I played around Necrons, Custodes, and I really liked them because Necrons teach you shooting and a little bit of movement. Custodes taught me the fight phase and charge, and then Demons is really how do you move big models and how do you play around deep strike. And so I kind of hit all those layers that I feel are super important. You need to learn the angles with Necrons. You learn how to stage, how the pile and consolidate with Custodes. And now I bring all that together with the Demons, and it's deep strike shenanigans, 3-inch deep strike, you know, making, dropping your big guy here, his 6-inch bubble, something else drops within it. So now you can make these charges, and it just makes players have to play different. And I realized that I like pressure lists. Like that's what I want to play. I basically want to make you uncomfortable. You know, you never know what's going to happen. Could I drop a big demon in your home? And like it may seem like a very tactically weird decision, but if it throws you off your game plan, it's the right decision. And so what I did is when I picked up Demons, I dove in even harder. So I just went on YouTube. I watched every video I could find. I was watching battle reports. I was actually on the 40k app, just like looking at armies. So what does this army do? What does this one do? Just like in case I go against it. And then I found channels like yours and others where those little focus videos. I mean, I still remember the charge and then the fight phase video was super helpful, but getting around fights first just like blew my mind, because like, oh, this shows the depth that the game has. And that's when I went even further. I was like, okay, get more things like this. The consolidative, you just need to get closer to the point. You can get weird angles. And those are the pieces that I love. Like I like to play within the rules and then just stretch those rules as much as you can. I want to just learn all the basic rules so that you cannot break them, but you can just play them to their utmost. And I think that's what I've seen from a lot of top players that play multiple armies. They just know the basics so well that they can pick something up, they can go, and they feel comfortable. And that's kind of where I wanted to get, is just feel comfortable on the army, know what my limits are, what my strengths are, and then figure out how can I shore up those weaknesses, or just if I have to know that this army is going to be really good and it's my weakness, is my one play to just run at you and hope for the best? Great. Then that's what I'll do. Tactically, it might be weird, but if that's the best option, you do it.
I'm so glad you said all of that, because that was going to be my next question, is to new players coming into the game. Like, you're a great example of it. Like, what did you really focus on when you first started? And it sounds like just doing research, like just watching YouTube videos, watching battle reports, seeing what the top guys are actually doing, not with their armies or like the best rules. It's their tactics on how to play any army. And I teach all my guys in the Dirtbag Nation is like, just learn the core rules, and if you know the most of the core rules, you're gonna win most of your games. Like, if you can just outplay your opponent with the core rules, no matter what army you play, you're gonna be able to win most of your games. So that's so awesome that you literally said everything that we preach every single time. So that's great.
Well, I mean, I think to that point too, the people that come into the meta and start playing competitive, I mean, the questions that I hear all the time: what's the best army? What's the most competitive? Like, should I start playing that? And I mean, the answer is yes, asterisks. Like, if you like that army and you want to play it and it happens to be the best, great. But then the best army in the game is not the best army in the game 2 months from now, and it's gonna change. And also, just because they're the best doesn't mean they're broken. People may not know how to play against them, which is what I'll get into later with Slaanesh. But I think it's those pieces where don't get so focused on what is the strongest thing in the meta. Figure out what do you like, what is your style. Try some different armies. Play on Tabletop Simulator if you have access. Borrow friends' armies, like do an army trade and play against each other with the other ones. What is your style? What do you like? And now how do you make the most out of that? Instead of this is the best army in the game, I'm going to play this, and that's all I'm going to play, because then you may not know how to come from behind. Like you may not know what to do when your units aren't the best, when you don't have the best rules. How do you get around these? If you can't beat them, do you just have to screen them? Do you have to just win on points, secondaries? So I think that can really help the new players, is just play what you want, learn well, and just think after every game. Don't just take that. After every game, everyone does it. You're like, oh, the dice did it. It's that feeling. It's like, if only I did this. Yes, but
I rolled a 9.
Yeah, exactly. If I had that 9-inch chart, it's so easy. But the next day, think about the game and say, okay, what actually was it? Could I have made a plan B in case my dice didn't go well? And was that your actual error? Was it not the dice? It was that you didn't make a plan B. And that was what could have solved that issue for you. And then in the future, you just take a second after before you finish every phase and go, all right, what do I need to plan B? What if the dice don't go well? What do I do now? Do I have an option? Sometimes you may not have an option if the dice doesn't go well, and that's fine, because it's late in the game. It's round 5. You have 3 units left. Cool. But it's round 2, round 3. You have a lot of assets. What is your plan B? What is your plan C? Just in case something goes really wrong or really right for you.
That's, yeah, you said it perfectly. I think I always tell people, like, what should I play? Well, what do you like? Because it's like, do you like 40 chess? Do you like being super aggressive? Do you like being laid back? Do you like super tanky guys? Do you like glass cannons? Like, there's really a pick for anything in 40k, which is awesome. So it's like, pick your army, pick your lore, and then we'll teach you. Like that's usually the best way to do it, unless you pick Votann. I'm like, no, don't pick Votann. Or Tau. Don't pick Tau.
No comment.
I play Kroot, so I jumped on the bandwagon. So let's get into the list. Now, by the time we upload this video, most of these videos go up on Patreon first. If you guys are Dirtbag Nation, you got to see all these videos ahead of time on Patreon. But by the time this video comes out on YouTube, this might have already been nerfed because it's fucking broken. I remember the first time we played, it was like 2-3 weeks ago before the GT, and my Chaos Cult list, you were one of like 4 losses I had with that list. And if I didn't play you, dude, I played the Slaanesh list at the GT. I don't know if I told you that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so my second game was against the fucking Slaanesh. I'm like, well, great. Like, here's another uphill battle. We won that one. But again, if I didn't play you, there's no way I would have known what the fuck to do with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's get over the list, because a lot of them are similar. So we're gonna ask why you brought this type of list and what you think about maybe changing, if not anything, in it. So I have everything pulled up. I'm sure you have it maybe on your side too, but it's just the simple paste spin. We could start off with Epitome, 4+, Feel No Pain, Demonettes, kind of standard. Slaps in combat. Like, I don't know if you got her into combat at all, but 8 attacks or something?
That is usually plan X by the time I get there, but it has happened and she saved me. Yeah. Oh, God, I will say awesome. She does have an ability that no one really uses. So yes, she gets her unit of 4+ versus Psychic and Mortals, which is, we'll get into why that's so strong. But at the beginning of the shooting phase, she can look at something 12 inches away, roll a d6. On a 1, she takes Mortals, which you can, if you're in the unit, you can disabsorb. 2 through 5, -1 to hit. On a 6, they can't shoot you. So it's effectively like that changeling rule. And it's not that they can't shoot you, they just can't shoot. And so
wow.
It came up in a game where I rolled a 6, and now a unit couldn't fire and fade. They couldn't just shoot me, and you can just turn things off. So even though she is that, I just want to let people know, if you are playing this list, remember she has that can win you games, or it just, now their dice rolls at -1 to hit. You know how strong that can be.
Definitely. So like a little like keys, special abilities, like with, the Dark Apostle, which can turn off a battle shock unit once per game. Like, nobody ever fucking does it, but it's there and it could come up in a game. So yeah, I didn't even know she had that. That's awesome. Keeper Secrets and Shalaxi. So Keeper Secrets, does she have the enhancement?
No enhancement.
Just basic. Okay. And then Shalaxi, who basically has her own enhancement, full rerolls to hit and wound and damage against character units. Why Shalaxi instead of another keeper?
Yeah, so I think I will say in this list, if you're bringing Slaanesh, you always bring one keeper. Keeper is the best greater demon, the best non-named greater demon in the book. I mean, she -1 to hit at all times, 5 up, feel no pain. She's super tanky, and she hits fairly hard, and in this she hits really hard. Shalaxi is in there because I was trying to tack into mirror matches. And I was thinking, I think Slaanesh is going to be strong. I think people are going to bring it. And if I don't have a Shalaxi to kind of kill those Keeper Secrets, we're going to just be in this weird stalemate. And now this is going to break me out of that stalemate because they need to be afraid of me and I don't need to be afraid of them. And so I actually had a mirror match at LVO and I had a Shalaxi, he had a Keeper. And because of that, I won the match. I mean, it was... Awesome. I just went in. I knew exactly what I needed to do. It was he puts something out. I staged the Shalaxi behind something. We battled, and then he had to put a keeper out. And I went in and one-tapped it because on average, he rolled a little bad, and a little bad versus Shalaxi is real bad. And you lost a keeper in one activation, and that's the game. Wow. Yeah, she's super strong, and also because of those rerolls, it's also reroll at charges versus characters, monsters, and vehicles. So she's that unit where you need an 8-inch charge, you put her there, and on average, you say, "Hey, I need this to win. I'm going to put her 8 inches out where the keeper might lose. I don't want to spend the CP." She gets a free reroll, and now you have a chance to bank that 8.
I didn't even think about that. That's awesome. I just know every time I see her, I'm like hiding my characters 99% of the time. And charging Kill Cypher for no fucking reason.
And that's the other piece. So people forget, yes, she hits insanely hard. She has precision on her main attack. So now you go into a squad where the character matters, which you know is so many units in the game. And I can't think of a single character that is in a squad that will survive unless you somehow make all your 4-ups. Because I reroll all damage. So on average, I'm doing 6 damage with 1 dice. So don't fail any.
Yep. Yeah, you play her enough that I know what the hell she does.
Yes, yeah.
She's very scary. And she is your warlord. Does she usually last till the end of the game?
No. So that is one thing. The way I play the list is... I can get into it more later, but sometimes I'm more aggressive with the big ones because it allows me to stage with everything else. Because the fiends come in and they're the true damage. That's just 30 attacks re-rolling, but they're very fragile. So if I can get their big units in combat, or I make them have to bring them down to kill my keeper or my Shalaxi, now I can wrap it in 6 fiends, and now you have 18 fiends in your face. And either you may not be able to fight out of that, or now you're stuck in combat and you might table me, but you lose on points. And so often the Soul Grinder, the Keeper Secret, the Shalaxi, they often die in the first couple turns, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, good, really good. Absorb a lot of damage. Very scary, hits very hard, trade pieces.
Yeah,
for 425 points.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I will say. So I know some players might be reticent to throw away a 425 point model because that sounds insane. But because you're thinking about point values, what can I get? I just played a match yesterday against Brian. You know him; he's insanely good. Ultramarines, it's nuts. All Shalaxi did was kill a single Vindicator. Is that enough? That's like 180 points, whatever. Is that enough? Points wise, no. But I made his whole army drop in stage to have to kill her, and now I was able to get the rest of my army in. So if you are playing Shalaxi in this detachment, I would say don't always think about point trades. Think about tactical trades. Like they need to deal with this unit or they will lose the game because she'll run through your army. And so now they have to be afraid.
I always say, like, think about the point trades, but also it comes down to victory point trade and, like, tying people up. Like my 295 point ACDC break, like, if I'm tying you in your deployment zone, yeah, I killed a 50 point squad unit, but you didn't leave your deployment zone. So that is worth 10, 15 victory points, whatever points you spend on it. So same with you, like you're staging, but they have to focus everything down on Shalaxi to then, kill your army. So think about what I said there. Think about what Justin said, where you're not throwing out Shalaxi on a point just to get 5 points. Like you need to go kill something and then draw the army that way while your other army is staging. So like you have to think about the 450 points. Yes, I killed a 190 point vehicle, and then it was worth soaking up the entire army over there while ignoring the rest of my fiends over here.
Exactly.
So, that's awesome. Mask, she's a bitch. Super annoying. -1 to wound within 6 inches of a Slanesh unit, and +1 to wound for you. Right?
Yeah, so I pick one unit and I basically debuff you. You're weaker against me, and basically against one of my units, you're -1 to wound. And it doesn't have to be Slanesh. That's why she's playable in other detachments. But since my whole army is Slanesh, I'm +1 to wound with everything against that unit now. Gotcha. And so now you stick her behind a wall. She's lone op. She advances and charges, and she just makes anything hit way harder than it should. And now I can also absorb more damage. So she's great. Or late game. Some matchups, like against Tau, she sits on the far point the whole game. Yeah. And that's what she does. And now she makes me 16 points, and she's amazing for that as well.
She looks really cool too, the model.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good model.
Demonettes for the transfer of damage, 12 inches. If you didn't have that, would you have Demonettes on the list?
No.
I mean, okay. No. I love Demonettes, but that's just because I have to bring Shalaxi. Oh, have you thought about Shalaxi? Sile. Celeste.
Celeste. The name is. Yeah, yes, I have thought about it. And so what I would do if I wanted to take Celeste is I would cut the Soul Grinder, and then I would have that, and then I would have 60 more points to play around. What I would probably get is honestly just a Transweaver, just the Slanesh model, and that drops for secondaries. And now I have that, and I have 2 secondaries. The reason I didn't take it is because, as we'll get into, I have 1 Soul Grinder. He is a vehicle, not a monster. So Thieves of Pain works on them. So I can transfer wounds from him to the Demonette squad. So now you have a T11 model with a 3-up, 4-up that you're trying to kill. That is another unit is soaking the damage.
Yeah. And how, like, did the Soul Grinder Deep Strike? Did he like start on the board? Did he perform well for you in the tournaments?
Yeah, so I brought the same list of LVO as I did this GT, but I played it much better at this GT, honestly. I made mistakes at LVO, so the games I lost were completely my fault, and that was on me, but I learned from it, which is great. Soul Grinder now often starts on the board because I can get him to the closest expansion early, and then I can get him within 12 inches of the Demonette. So now, do you want to shoot him? Do you want to waste resources on him? Because if you go out, now you're closer to me, and you never want to be closer to me. But in some matchups, like I played into Tau, I kept him in the air because he's not doing anything, and if he's on the board, I don't want you to shoot me. You're going to kill him, and you're going to kill my Demonettes. So he goes on the board, he stays up, and now he's scary, and I try to get some points with him at least.
Got it. Then obviously we have 3 units of Fiends, full max 6-man units. Now, what was your favorite thing about the Fiends besides the full reels to hit and wound after you charge it and besides the main thing that they're so good? Yeah.
I think I was one of the few players who brought 18. I didn't see a lot of lists for 18. A lot of people complain that they're difficult to move. I think that my experience of playing demons for a long time helped with that. I'm used to moving on big models or big units. I played Blood Crushers forever, which is the same size, 6 squads of 6. And so I'm just used to staging them, used to understanding the angles. Also, before the tournament, I went into Tabletop Simulator and I put in the layout and the maps we were playing for LVO, and I learned exactly where they could go and what angles they could cut off. And so I went, okay, I can play 18, and I'm comfortable playing 18 now. And so that's like one thing that you could always do if you're not sure what to do with a unit, where to deploy, pop up TTS and just play around with it. What can get angles, what can't. But with these guys, the big thing with them, it was often 12 on the board, 6 in the air, because I think people were being, at least games I saw, I think other Slaanesh players were a little too aggressive with them, where they would send them out and then let them get shot early, like turn 1. And now they're just, I'll put the wounds on the demonettes with the epitome and soak it up. And that's a problem because they are T5 with only a 5-up invul. And so now they just get damage. And so you might lose your demonettes, you might lose some fiends for nothing. Sure, you're closer to the board, but now you lose that trade-off. You're not going to be able to get rid of reroll versus melee armies. So for me, I'm much more about staging. So like in layout 1, I have 6 behind my cover kind of pointed out to their long side, 6 on the other side behind the building and they don't come out turn 1 or 2. Usually they don't come out turn 1. They just sit back there. Soul Grinder, Shalaxi, and Keeper are the ones that kind of stage or get on a point, and then maybe a Seeker Chariot goes down the middle if I need area denial or something, because it's 65 points, and if it dies, I don't care. Or my Seekers do the same thing. So with Fiends, I think you play them a little defensive early. You could let the big guys go out, and then they explode, because now they move 12, they go through walls. Often I'm rapid ingressing 1 squad of 6, and they can't focus them, because they got to kill the Shalaxi, the Keeper, and the Soul Grinder in their face. And so now they see this unit waiting to charge them because you come out 9, you move 12. So even if you have a reactive move of D6, I'm likely still making that charge. And so that's what you do. It's just waves of damage and just make them pressure them, keep them afraid, and keep them back in their deployment zone.
And a lot of the Slaanesh players, they charge like tanks and automatically give up the fight first because they only have 3 attacks back, and then you pile in and then do all the damage and then kill whatever the hell you want. But then there's also the other tactics where you charge 2 units of fiends into a unit. The unit that charges in can fight first, kill whatever, but then the other unit, whatever was charged is dead, can then pile into another unit. They still gave up their fight first, so when they pile into another unit, they still gain the fucking 4 reels to hit and wound into a unit that wasn't even charged.
Yes, exactly. And it also makes people who want to do a heroic intervention on you a little bit more scared, because now they might heroic, or sorry, I can now heroic. But when I heroic, I can give up fights first, even though I don't have it. So I don't have to have it to give it up. So now yes, I have a unit of fiends or something, and then I know you're going to charge me. I rapid ingress them behind. I make it sometimes a semicircle, so maybe you can shoot me a little, but I'm going to make it so no matter what, you're going to charge this one model. I'll guarantee that 6-inch charge, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to give up fights first. I'll have full rerolls, and whatever is there likely isn't there anymore. So even if you kill whatever you charged, I probably win the trade, because now on my turn, I'll be able to move forward that much farther. And just like you mentioned, I mean, everyone should check out your videos on the fight phase and consolidate and how to do those shenanigans. And that's something that brings people to the next level on Fiends, because it is a lot of that. It is, I'm going to charge your tank, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to block let's say I get an 8-inch, I only needed a 6. I'm going to make it so only 2 guys can get in. Maybe I'll pull from the back. Maybe I'll block movement. The rest might now go in a different direction. They're going to be not within engagement range of something. Maybe they could be like a scary, let's say Exalted 8-bound, where normally you don't want to give up fights first versus them. Instead, I'll get near them, and then on the pile-in, I'll now tag them. I have rerolls to hit, so the 2 hitting the tank probably don't kill the tank, but I don't care, because I now have 4 Fiends that's 20 attacks on 3s rerolling, 5/2/2 rerolling with Dev. And so you're probably losing the whole unit, or it's neutered. And now also your tank is tagged, which I don't care if it's dead, it's now tagged, so it's much less useful. And so those are the types of things you can get in. And this army, because your bases are so big, sometimes I would triple charge. Like, that wasn't a rare thing. I would just triple charge to tag everything, do as much damage as I could. Maybe you kill 3 to 4 fiends, but I can still maintain, I measure coherency to make sure if you kill 2 to 3, I'm still tagging all 3 units. And if you don't have fallback and do anything, you now have 3 units that are stuck there that you can't do anything and make points with, where I can fall back and charge.
That is also just another addition to what this army can do, is the fallback and charge built in. So with the fiends, I also like that when you're charging in, you give up the fight first. So you basically keep 1 fiend in the back within 12 inches of your demonettes. So when you charge in, even if you do go into a scary unit, like let's say the ACDC brick, like a -1 to hit, because the Fiend's built in, and then I have to spend a CP for 4 rerolls to hit and wound, right? But I'm probably only going to get like maybe 3 big guys into you, which is not going to kill a Fiend. You spend 1 CP, transfer the damage back to the other guys, and then as I'm piling into you, right, I'm getting closer to you. So now your other Fiends in the back can now reach me, because before they couldn't because they were too far, but now that I'm piling closer to you, now you can just pile in and tag one, and then your bases are so big that the back guy who was within 12 inches of deep nets can now just pile in and tag me. So like giving up the fight first with just one fucking guy, you can then get your entire Fiend unit into him is just crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of skipped over it, but I should have gone over the strats a little bit. So that Thieves of Pain strat we've been talking about, that's 1 CP. I target any non-monster unit, and whenever attacks or mortals are applied, so that means Overwatch, that means Tank Shock, grenades, and it lasts for the entire phase. So now those wounds that go through will then pass on to a second unit. That Demonette with Contorted Epitome have a 4 versus mortals. So now that Demonette squad with the Epitome, which is 18 wounds, is up to 36 ablative wounds because of the 4-up. And so now in one phase where you thought you're going to kill, my Soul Grinder or 6 Fiends or whatever, you killed my Seeker, you killed my Epitome and my Demonettes. Great, good for you. You still have 6 Fiends 8 inches away from you that move 12. So good luck. And then the other piece that, the other strat that I would say is one of the strongest strats that we have is when you go to shoot me, for 1 CP, I say take a battle shock test at -1. If you're in shadows, meaning you're in my deployment zone, you're within 6 inches of my Keeper or my Shalaxi, or I hold at least half, you're actually -2. So that means versus Guard, Tau, you need to make a 9 or you're battle shocked. And when you not only do you get battle shocked, you now can't shoot that unit you just targeted. So instead, it turns off the shooting for that unit. You can target something else. But even if you pass, you're -1 to wound. So no matter what, -1 to hit. If you fail it, battle shocked, and you cannot target that unit. So now you have to think, when I was talking about earlier, making plan A's, plan B's, when you play this army and you're a shooting army, you need a plan B, plan C, because you might line everything up to shoot me, and now one of your units can't shoot me, and maybe there's nothing else of value to shoot, and now you're in trouble because half of your damage output is now gone.
That was me at the GT.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that strat. He did it the first time into me, and then I forgot about it, and I did it again. I couldn't shoot. So turn 3, I brought in literally everything in his backfield to try and kill the Demonette. So I was like, all right, it's go turn. Let's drop in traded guardsman, Celeste, whatever. Everything's like trying to shoot the Demonette. So I line up everything to shoot the Demonettes. He's like, all right, 1 CP. It's like, what? He's like,
what?
-2 because you're in my battlefield or backline. I'm like, fuck. So I'm a 7 up to a 9. Of course I fail, and then they have nothing else to shoot at, so they're just standing there. And then Celeste or whatever shot the mask, which then the mask transferred to the Demonettes. So then I didn't kill anything in his deployment zone, which was just fucking insane.
It's brutal, and that's where this detachment. I'll go over kind of how to play against it in a second once we finish the list, but there's so many tricks, there's so many shenanigans that you can do, that if you are playing this list, what I will say is be that good opponent and say, hey, just remember that I have a strat that can, make you take a battle shock. If they're lining up all their shooting and they only have 1, just let them know. A little reminder. You don't have to do it every time, but just kind of, hey, just so you remember, there's a lot of things going on, just in case you forget, because you don't want them to line it up, and then it's not going to be a gotcha because they know, but it's a little bit feels batty, and it also makes you a better player, because if they know exactly what you can do and you can still beat them, then you're just going to be a better player in the end.
It's great sportsmanship. Like, everybody should be doing that. Not constantly like, hey, every 2 seconds, like, hey, remember this, like, I'm going to tell you in the beginning of every turn, like, hey, remember I had the -2 leadership strat or mist or sigil or whatever, like crazy shit like that. But then if they do it 2-3 times down the line, it's like, all right, I kind of told you 4 or 5 times, like, all right, man, I'm gonna do the 1 CP strat, and if they're like, all right, it's fine, and then at least you have a good conscience where you told them, now you feel better, they feel better, stuff like that.
Yeah, so and they don't feel bad. They're like, oh, I forgot. You told me, and I forgot, and now they won't forget again. They won't never forget again. So it works out.
Two Seeker Chariots, super cheap for what they do. Have you tried? This is off topic. Have you tried the character one?
So I've been playing Seeker Chariots in my Demonic Incursion. That is the index attachment for demons forever. I like them because they're 65 points, T6, 7 wounds, with a 4-up invuln, which is really annoying, and they move 14. So they can just be anywhere, and they can do secondaries, and sometimes they just survive. The character version, so there's different types. There's the Torment Bringer. There's the Exalted Seeker Chariot. There's a Hellflare. Those are terrible. They're just too expensive for what they give you, and they're basically unplayable. The character version that you'll see in a lot of lists is the Torment Bringer. That one gives a 6-inch aura of sustain 1 to all Slaanesh, which with full rerolls is a lot of extra attacks.
Yeah.
And then one unit in the fight phase that within 6 inches, they will get us on a 4-up, they get to fight again. But the way it's worded is it's not fight if they haven't fought already. It's if they just fight again. So you can actually fight twice with that Torment Bringer because of the way it's worded. So you can fight, they hit you back, you target your unit on a 4-up, they fight again. And so it's a little crazy for that. But for me, it's 140 points. It's a big, awkward model. It has a good amount of attacks, but it's only T6 with 12 wounds, which if you miss your 4-ups, 2 last cannons kills you sometimes, and you kind of lose your buff piece. You probably have to spend CP to move it through walls because it's just, like I said, awkward, and you want to keep it around multiple things. It's hard to stage, and if I have to stage that means I can't stage my Fiends, and I can't stage my Keeper, my Shalaxi. So for me, I didn't play with it. I didn't like it as much, and I just got more Fiends instead. I mean, because what that's doing is basically buffing your army, but I'd rather just have better units that don't need as much support, because now the only thing I need to think about is it within 12 inches of the demonettes for the Thieves of Pain, and where's my mass to give it +1 to wound, and then potentially the Keeper's aura of +1 AP. But really it's often 12 inches from the demonette squad, and that's really what I care about, instead of having to make this crazy these mathematical theorems to keep everything in check. So that's why I didn't bring one. But I think if the meta goes heavy melee, I think you bring it back. I think you play it because it's just so valuable, because now you charge into world leaders and you give up fights first, and now you can just kill them on the fight on death. You can fight twice. It'd be a lot.
All right, cool. So the 2 Seeker Chariots and then Seekers, which are amazing. What do they do? What do they do for you in this list?
Yeah, so they're another one I've been playing since Demonic Incursion. I just think if you don't play them and you play demons, try them. The reason they're in the list, in almost every list, is they scout 9, which it's one of the only ways we get scout. It might be the only thing that scouts in the whole list, in the whole index. So you scout 9, which is great, because in index you can now sticky a point turn 1, or for this you can just get more ground. But really a lot of their value is if I'm going against a shooting heavy army, tank heavy army, turn 1 they scout. If I go first, they scout 9, they move 14, and they reroll advances and charges as their base rule. So now on average you're getting like a 3 to 4 in a charge. They're moving about 17, and they have pretty good sized bases. So with them, they can block out, like on a layout 1, they can block out almost an entire side of the map. And so you're now stuck in your deployment zone turn 1, allowing me to aggressively stage. And now I have things basically looking at you behind wall. They're sitting behind walls that move 14 and 12 through walls, ready to attack you, and you're just stuck there, not able to do anything. And so they just are great for that. Or maybe I need area denial and secure, and there's enough room where sometimes they can touch both, and you can just lose 1 unit and get all the points. Or if it's against an army that has crazy deep shenanigans, or I'm playing Purge the Foe, I might play them a little more defensively, and they'll just be in my back line, and they'll screen out almost your whole deployment zone by themselves, because they're so the bases are big enough, and with 5 models they do that. So they do a little bit of everything. They just don't do damage. Rarely do they kill anything ever. The most they'll really do is tie some tanks up. They'll just charge into a tank or a rhino, knowing they don't kill me, and I hold it up. But yeah, that's really their job, is annoyance.
Somebody at the tournament was talking about 10 Fiends or 10 Seekers but the points are just like too much. But 10 Seekers, turn 1, scouting up, moving 14, and then charging with rerolls, and having like, what, 30 dev, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound, attacks. Seems pretty good.
It'd be 30 attacks with dev and then 20 attacks with lethals. Yeah, and so because they have a weird mixed profile, but effectively it's 5 attacks per, so it's a very odd. You could do that, and I was thinking about it. It's just the things that have to cut to make room. If I did anything, if I got rid of the soul grinder, I definitely could do that and then get some other scoring units if I want to play a little bit more defensive or just more jaily. Because also the other thing you can do with 2 squads of 5, you jail them turn 1 and then you jail them the other side turn 2. I mean, that's, you just do that, or you make it so they can't deep strike or rapid ingress across the half the map, which for some armies just kind of shuts them off, like Bridgehead.
So I think they're great. Obviously, if you go first, they're phenomenal, but everything besides Purge the Foe, because you're not trying to give up turn 1, Purge the Foe, so they're just not going anywhere turn 1 for Purge the Foe. But besides that, you start on the line, you're 24 inches away, you move up 9, then you move up 14, so 23 inches. Now you're 1 inch away from their deployment zone, not including the advance. So basically, they're what, 2.5, maybe 3 inch long bases, maybe. So there's 5 of them. So you just turn them sideways, and then you keep them 2 inches apart. So that's 15 inches plus the extra 10 in between. So you have like 27 inches of denial space turn 1 where they just can't move past you.
Yeah.
So any type of melee army, they're just fucked.
It's horrendous. They're so annoying, and they've won me multiple matchups across demonic incursion and cost. Like, that's they're probably the MVP of every list I play, because what you can also do, like you mentioned, you start them on the line, always pre-measure where do they go for 9 inches in case you go second. Do I move them back, or oftentimes you can move them forward to the side, and now they're behind a building, behind a layout, so no one can shoot you. So now they still moved forward, but now they're safe. And now on your turn, you can now do something with them, whether you want to jail with them, get points with them, or if you do full rerolls and do a scout squad, maybe you kill them, but they'll be neutered and now they're stuck in combat and they can't uppy downy. So there's some stuff you can do, but I would always do that if you're going to use them. Where will they go if I go second? Because you don't want to just lose them.
Yep. Great call. You always want to like measure the back or front of their bases to make sure that they move completely 9 inches behind something. If you happen to go second. If you go first, great, you're just moving forward anyway. But if you go second, you need to make sure that they don't get shot turn 1, because they will die.
Exactly.
To most shit. So awesome. So yeah, that is a scary tactical put together list that seemed to be every piece has its role. And you have a lot of really hard-hitting monsters. You have a lot of units that do a lot of damage with the rerolls. And then you have your tactical pieces that can do the secondaries for you as well.
Yeah, and the only thing that moves less than... the Demonettes move 9, the Mask moves 9, but they can advance, they can do stuff. So Grinder moves 8. Everything else is 12 or 14 inches. So it's just... You move farther than most things can advance.
That's so true. All right, guys, if you want to support the channel, head over to the merch store. The link is in the description below. We have our new sports themed Grey Knights, Chaos, and Space Marine logos on a bunch of different shirts. We just updated the shirt as well. These are probably the most popular. So if you guys want to rep these at the local GT, you can do that. Also sport the Dirtbag swag. So really appreciate it. Click on the link below. If you guys are interested in other merch, we do offer some 3D prints. We have Codiez, the Assassin, should be in every single list. The Space Marine Lieutenant, Space Marine Librarian, the Tech Marine for Grey Knights, and the Cypher should be in every single list. We have poker chips, which are great for sticky objectives. All of the stickers are manageable. These will be on t-shirts soon. We have widgets still, and we have about orange and orange. So we have orange Dirtbag dice. If you guys are interested in getting some dice thrown on the table, hit me up in Discord and we'll get back to the video. A little shout out there because it's super comfortable. I gotta throw it in the wash to make sure that's good before I sell to you guys. But so we got the list. So the list is awesome. Let's get into now each game. We had 5 games going 5-0. We'll go through each game, what you liked about, the game setup, what mission you played, if you can remember, and then just kind of little tidbits about what worked for you and how you played it against the list. So first one, Frank Smith running Space Marines, Ultramarines, Vanguard, Spearhead. So take it away, Just.
Yeah, so day one for the GT was all layout one. Also, shout out to Dave Anderson, who ran Winter Rune 2 and the Dumpster Fire guys. It was a great event, super fun. They're having some more later. It was great. But day one was all layout one, so super easy to remember. And the first mission was B, so it was Purge the Foe. Purge the foe.
Purge the foe.
Yeah, they knew you were coming. They're setting you up.
They didn't want me to come. They're like, "Fuck it, we're gonna run Purge the Foe twice in a five game tournament."
Yeah, so it was a crazy game because, like you said, I know Frank. It's actually the first time playing, but I've seen him in tournaments. But his list is real scary. I mean, he told me up front it's similar to one that did really well at LVO. He kind of modified it, but it has the typical Marcus Caligar, Euroventris. So just a lot of CP, and then Euroventris gives his Centurion squad. He had 6 Centurions, the Deep Strike. And then because he is in that Vanguard Spearhead, every turn you can pick them up and then deep strike them somewhere else. So the game was basically, please help, I can't let those things touch me. Because a squad of 6, because it'll be full rerolls, they'll go into something. On average, they likely kill any of my greater demons. And I can't survive. And then the rest of his list, he had some Eradicators and then a lot of just good stuff to kind of keep me at bay. And so I just had to be really careful. And so basically what I did is I got turn 1 and I had to choose, like we talked about, do I give away my Seekers for Purge, or do I play defensive and kind of keep them back for screening and everything else? So what I did, I pushed them backwards for the scout, and then they were screening out my back line for most of the game just to make sure his Centurions couldn't do anything scary. And the game got very, very weird. This is the least killy game I've ever played in 40k. It was very high level, a lot of movement shenanigans. But basically, turn 1, I got 2 secondaries I could score that I did not need to put myself out. Because turn 1, I got my Soul Grinder on the closest expansion with his little claw because it's the hull. And so he just peeked around a corner. You can't be shot unless he exposes something. So I effectively had that. And then he started with his lieutenant with Combi Bolter towards the other one that had Lone Op, and I couldn't get there either. So we kind of had each of the sword points, each of the far expansions, no one in the middle. And so I had a stage. I put Shalaxi in that closest building so he couldn't be shot in. And for 1 CP, I can go through the wall. And so I basically said, whatever you put out, Shalaxi is going to kill because I'm going to run 14 inches through a wall. And so his turn, he didn't score any primary. He couldn't score secondaries. He just got on the primary. Round 2, and then he didn't shoot anything, didn't do anything. Round 2, I get secondaries. I could also score again that I did not need to put myself out there for. And so I decided I'm just going to do this because I'm really far ahead on secondary. We're going to be even on primary for the game. And I just never gave him anything to shoot for the first 2 rounds. And then round 3, I got Area Denial and Secure. And so I put 2 Fiends in the middle. So basically just strung them out. 1 in the center, 1 in the middle, 1 in the building. And then he put 1 of the Eradicator squad to shoot it. 1 CP, -2. He was in my shadow now. And he failed it. He couldn't shoot me. And he didn't have a plan. Didn't have a plan B. Nothing else to shoot it. So then my turn, I got Hold More. They moved back into hiding, and then I got some secondary I could score, and that was the 3rd round. He didn't get to shoot. I didn't attack anything. Round 4, he finally pushes out a little bit, but doesn't give me any easy charges. And I just said, based on the scoring that we have, I can win unless you score insane secondaries. And so I pushed my whole army back. On round 5, I scored my primary. I went back in my deployment, made sure he couldn't shoot anything. The only thing that couldn't run away fully because he got blocked in was Shalaxi, and it made it so he can only get 1 little angle with he needed a 6-inch deep strike. His bolter, the bolter guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that come in 6 inches. And so they shot Shalaxi, and then Calgar charged me, get Shalaxi down to 3 wounds. But then I wiped the squad because it's Shalaxi, and I got kill more. But either way, I would have won because of the point differential. There's no way for him to win. So it was a crazy game. Nothing died until the bottom of round 5. And there's no actual shooting or charging until round 5. and that was the game. But it's one of those things where I would never do it again, because in the actual game, I have to just give him a lot of targets and say, you're going to kill something, but you can't kill everything. And so here's a lot of stuff. I'm just going to threat assess and get you, rapid ingress, go after you, pressure you, kill what I can. But with the secondary game, the way it was the first 2 rounds, I said, I think I can win this playing defensive. Never done that before. I don't think it'll ever work again. But it just happened to work out that way. So I would say just on that game, if you have something like this, your game plan doesn't have to be the same. You can modify it in the game. You can say, even though I'm the army supposed to be pressuring, I'm going to make you come to me. And that's playing on my terms now. And it worked out.
Yeah, you won that game 72. Do you remember?
72 to 40, 72 to 48 because of this.
That's just run away at that point.
Yeah, because I was ahead, and then what gave me the edge is then the 8 points on the Killmore, which the last round. Yeah. So that was a fun game, great opponent, but it was just weird, very weird. At one point, someone came over in round 3 and like, hey, do you guys something wrong? Like, no, we're in round 3. Like, why is your entire army alive? It's fun.
Yeah, that's somebody who's played Purge the Foe way too many times and knows exactly what could happen if it goes wrong.
Exactly. Yep.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we win the first matchup with Purge the Foe, which has probably knocked out a bunch of people that their worst games are Purge the Foe. So that's brutal. Next game into Cody. So tell us, what is Cody doing?
Cody was scary. Super nice guy. First time playing him. He's actually a friend of some of my friends, and he's playing Bridgehead though. So as soon as I saw Bridgehead, for me, Bridgehead is one of the scariest armies in the game for my army, because we were playing on take and hold, so nothing crazy, just a basic layout 1 take and hold that he can drop down and just kill anything because there's so much damage. And I also can't screen everything out safely because he had 3 of the command squads with 4 of the Scion units, 3 of the Aquilans, and then 2 tank commanders. So he can just blow up the world, whatever he wants. And he also had transports and little scoring guys. And so I basically had to, my staging, I did a pretty standard stage turn 1. He got first turn. I went up staged behind the buildings, but I was not expecting to be as aggressive as he was, because turn 2, he dropped 3 of his squads to try to nuke me out. And it was smart on his part. The only downside is when he targeted he's going to kill my fiends and my demonettes. And that probably would have been the game if he killed them. When he targeted my demonettes, 1 CP, he was now in my shadows. He needed a 9. He didn't get it. He could still shoot, but he could only shoot my fiends. So now I thieved the pained the damage onto the demonettes. He almost wiped the demonettes, but they didn't. Luckily, they scored some good 4-up Philoppanes, and now his unit is stuck 6 inches away from me against half my army, and they can't fall back. They can't do anything. And then on the other side, he did the same thing, but he didn't get a good angle, and he wasn't able to do as much shooting. He definitely did some wounds onto my Soul Grinder and then my Keeper. I actually killed my Soul Grinder that turn. But he did it smart because he's trying to bait out the thieves. And I just let him shoot everything into the Soul Grinder. Said, I'm going to sack this, and you're going to kill it. But you brought down 3 big units. So my next turn, instead of taking fiends and attacking those close guys that came in, I actually took a single Seeker Chariot, went up and charged it, because I knew they couldn't fall back and charge. They couldn't fall back and shoot, and they couldn't shoot in combat. So I just took a 65-point unit and basically locked up one of his biggest, 200-something point units for 2 rounds. I killed a bunch. They aren't going to kill me. And my fiends ran forward. Shalaxi ran forward, and another squad kind of ran in as well. And then from there, I kind of took over the game because he had a lot of his big things down, and I was staring down his face with most of his stuff was either in combat or on the play. And then tank commanders aren't great into my profiles. You're going to do a keeper secret -1 to hit, and you're wounding me on 5s.
Yeah.
And I was in combat, and he didn't want to fall back because he was afraid he'd lose the squad because he battle shocked. And so he couldn't shoot his blast weapons. And so Shalaxi broke through. She killed 1 squad of the 10 guys, went through, killed the commander, no problem. After that, I was on his home objective, turn round 3 or round 4, and the game was kind of over from there. It ended 94-69. So it was a really good player, really good play. If he passed his battle shock and shot my demonettes turn 2, I probably would have lost the game right there because he would have wiped my fiends and my demonettes. And that would have been just a huge point swing. I don't know if I could have come back. So it was kind of surprising how aggressive he played, but it worked.
I think that's the way to beat your list, is if I can get to the demonettes turn 2, turn 3, there's nothing to transfer to, and you just die to pot shots. All the fiends, because 5 up saves. Mm-hmm. So he played it right. He just needed 2 units to line up into the demonettes compared to just 1.
Exactly, and that's what we talked about after, because I told him, hey, he asked, like, he didn't have a lot of reps into me. I was like, how do you beat me? I'm like, kill my demonettes, kill my demonettes, kill my fiends. I'm going to be in trouble. They're way easy to kill. I was like, the big guys, they are huge targets. They're juicy. They seem like you want to kill them, but they're not easy to kill. You kill everything around them, and I have 3 big guys left. You win the game because I can't score anything anymore. So he did it right, but then later in the game, he had to line up another shot. He failed the battle shock again. Couldn't shoot something. He only shoot 3 guys into a keeper, which doesn't do anything, and that ran it too. So really, the MVPs for this list, if anyone's playing it or anyone playing against it, Thieves of Pain to move mortals away, and that -1 to hit or can't shoot me is just it's what makes the list work, really.
That was 94-point win. A lot of infantry. It looks like only 2 big battle tanks. So.
Yep. Yeah, and the 1 tank commander I think survived the whole game because I just ignored it because
he's T11 as well, so he's hard to kill.
Yeah, and my job, I didn't need to kill him. At one point, I triple charged with fiends, tagged 2 infantry in the tank, and I knew you can't kill enough. And like I said before, sometimes you just tag things, and you just estimate how much damage you can absorb. And since I can also fall back and charge, I can still do things. I can still make the charge. You can't really run away from me. I can always get that fight first if I need it, or the rerolls. Yeah, it was a tough list. He ended up doing really well. I think he ended up only dropping a game to Sasha at the end for 10th. So he ended up really well in this game, the tournament.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Sasha, the other 5-0 player.
Yes.
Really good local player.
Mm-hmm.
So game 3, third game of the day, we're going into Dark Angels. So Anthony, playing Dark Angels Gladius Task Force. Dark Angels are scary. I think they're secretly good.
Yes, and they're actually very good into fiends because of the -1 damage. And so now, yes, I'm going to do a lot of damage, but not only do they have -1 damage, they're a 2-up, 4-up. They have a 5-up leadership, so I can't even battle shock you. And they have a once per game 4-up feel no pain versus mortals. So now I get through a ton of the damage. He 4-up feel no pain. He can AOC the fiend, so he's now on a 3-up as well for 1 damage. So I think at one point I charged and I killed 1 to 2 knights. That was it with 6 fiends. Yeah. But it was on Linchpin. So again, pretty easy, style of map. Still layout 1. I think the reason I won this is Anthony actually lives close to me and we play a lot. And I kind of knew his play style. So he had 15 knights, Azrael, Judicar with the ICC squads for fights first, a ton of damage. They hit really hard, and an impulsor. Then he also had a couple gladiator lancers for some great shooting and really great anti-vehicle, anti-tank, and then that stern guard squad that just is so good. Then a couple other scoring units. And basically what I did is I got first turn, I jailed him with Seekers, like we talked about before, and then I staged very aggressively because I knew he couldn't get to me because he was playing Gladius, so he could do all the stuff, but I knew he didn't want to pop advance and charge turn 1 because that's such a big deal. And so I staged aggressively. I had everything ready, and then I just exploded on round 2. I went all in. I Shalaxi got into a tank with a 10-inch charge and made it with the reroll. Like I said, the reroll, I wouldn't recommend it, but I knew in this matchup, I may not have lost the game if I didn't make it, but by making that charge, it almost solidifies the game for me, because she touches that tank, it's dead. My keeper went to his other tank, and with full rerolls, killed that. Fiends went to his stern guard because he moved them up, but because you can fight 1 inch from the model, he was on the second floor, I can still fight them from the ground. And so I basically killed the stern guard, his 2 tanks, and then I think I piled into some other unit. And so now he's down a lot of resources. He had to deep strike his knights on the other side of the map to try to fight some fiends. He rapid over there. And then what he did is he kind of pushed them on the point, waiting for me to come to him on his turn. So on his turn, he ended up killing some fiends. He got my Shalaxi down pretty far. But what he thought I was going to do was go after the knights. But I knew that's a problem. I played this matchup. I know it. My fiends ran 12 inches away. Actually, they advanced and they went like 16 inches away from his knights, because now I know he can't catch me. And they just went to the other side. They held the primary, while the soul grinder, the Shalaxi keeper, and the rest of the fiends just fought everything else on the map, because I knew I can't kill knights. And so all I did is I made him come to me. I killed the ICC squad. I think I killed the Impulsor. And so now he had like 4 or 5 squads, and 3 of which I can't really kill. But at that point, I knew it'd be up on primary and up on secondaries. So it ended up 95-70, because I just, at that point, worried about scoring and tying up his unit. So I would wrap his knight squad with 6 fiends, and then thieve to pain them away, knowing I can't kill them. But now they're stuck there, and they can't run away. They can't desperate. But they'd have to desperate. He doesn't want to desperate, because you don't want to lose them because they're too expensive. So they just sat there in combat, fighting and slowly killing my fiends, which was fine with me, because I also, fiends are OC2. I knew knights are only OC1. So now I can also do OC shenanigans, take the point, even though we're fighting on it. And so it kind of ended that way. But against that squad, that army, I have to be aggressive. I have to run out, kill all the toys, because I can't kill his knights. It's not efficient. They're monsters. And so I kind of got lucky on some big charges round 1, and things worked out.
Yeah, I think you kill the Lancers, and then it's just a melee fight, which you're gonna win almost every single time. And I think the Terminators, you're right. Like when you see them on the table, most Dark Angel players won't just put them on the line and then move forward in a line. Like I don't know why they don't just do that, because we're not going to get through them. I played Kyle the one time, who I think was here, and if he would have just lined up in a straight fucking line, his Terminators, and just ran forward at me, I couldn't get to the rest of his army. He would have just mowed me down. So like if any Knight or Dark Angel players just put 2 fucking units of Knights just 2 inches apart and just fucking run forward, right? We're not going to kill you, and then you're going to get to us. And then you have like the other one, Deep Strike, Rapid Ingress, whatever. But for him, did he like kind of clump them up and kind of run all over the place?
So he
was just running away?
He staged them like you would almost like Custodes, like kind of keeping them safe and worried about getting shot and everything else. But to your point, my shooting isn't great. My shooting is okay. It's good into standard Marine bodies, but not into Knights. I mean, most of it's damage 2, and so now it's damage 1, and you're saving on like 3s, or you'd be on cover for 2s. So I think he could you start in the line like you mentioned, move forward, and also just stand in front of your tanks. Because those Lancers hit hard. I mean, that's the way you kill my keeper and Shalaxi. 2 wounds get through, I'm in trouble. But now they sit in the line in front of them, they push forward, tanks push forward behind them, and you just make this line, and I now have to solve the riddle of what do I do, which for me, it's basically loading up a side and trying to kill everything on that side, because I know I'm faster, and then move as a death ball. And I think that's the only thing I can do, is I hope my death ball does more damage than his death ball can take.
Did you get any shots off from the Lancers onto you?
He didn't get to shoot them.
Yeah, so I think another thing is, like, if you don't have a lot of line of sight, just reserve them. Like, they're 60 points? You can really just walk them on and get actual lines of sight onto your monsters or whatever. Like, you're not going to get tabled, or you're not going to get screened out, because even if you're walking in your own deployment zone, that's fine because they're tanks. So when you walk in from the side, you're going to be able to get a line of sight on something you actually want to shoot at. So when you saying like just keep the knights in front, so that way you have to run around the knights to get to your tanks, or reserve a tank, if not 2 tanks, probably just 1 tank. So you reserve 1 tank, the other tank's just safe, and then that way you get at least 2 rounds of shooting with your tanks before they get touched.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Because
that seems like an issue.
I think that with my list, the Keeper Secret's somewhat efficient into it at damage 3, so it goes down to damage 2, and I'll get full rerolls if I choose to, but I don't want to because they're wounding me on 4s. They're hitting me on 3s, -1 to hit, but everything that's a 4 goes through at 2 damage, and they have enough attacks where they're going to do like 12 to 16 damage. So I don't want to go into them. So yeah, kind of to your point, if one had just laid on the side or came in strat reserve, I have no way to interact with it. Comes down, shoots me. It's not going to kill one of my big guys, but now it's neutered enough that the rest, like the Stern Guard, might kill it with Dev or Death Guard. Yeah. Yep, Death Guard come in, Deathwing Knights go in and kill me. Yeah, it gets scary at that point.
But he made a 10-inch charge and fucking blew it up, so...
Yeah, or, just definitely skill diff on that one. Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay.
So going in 3-0 with your first, I mean, you didn't know you were going to win the GT, but, going in the first day 3-0, how did you feel going in the next day? Were you pretty confident?
I was because going in, my scariest matchups are Ultramarines, which was round 1, because they can just look at anything and kill it, and they can just wait to get primary to the end because they just deny you primary, they slowly get it, and they just kill you, and I can't survive it. And then Bridgehead is another scary matchup because again, they can come in, I can't screen them out, I can't do enough units, and they can just blow me up. So I was feeling pretty good. Those are my 2 scariest matchups. There was one matchup I didn't want to play. That was a Death Guard matchup, and we'll see if I had to play those. But yeah, so I was feeling really good into day 2, which is layout 2. And the first one was Terraform. And so I looked at the possible lists I could go into, which was I had a couple potential mirror matches. I had a CSM match. And then I had Tau, and then Sasha's kind of Librarian Enclave for the ones I had a chance into. And I felt fairly confident in most of them, and I ended up getting into Tau with it was Evan Thompson, really good player. He's out of New York. He was playing Ret Cadre Tau, and he was obviously he was 3-0 as well, and he's one of the training partners with Johnny Zhu, so the well-known CSM player that most people know. So he knows how to play. He was really good. And with Terraform on layout 2 is just long lanes of shooting. And so I walked up to the table, and then my confidence definitely took a hit because he was playing Ret Cadre with, all the stuff that just is made to kill me. It was 2 squads of the, effectively the Melta guys that just get full rerolls, and whatever, if they shoot me, they'll probably kill me. He had 2 squads of 2 broadsides, which they basically have 4 better las cannons on each of them. He had the fire knife squad, and then a couple fusions, the plasma rifle squad, and then the chain gun squad that just kill everything else.
This is the new detachment, right?
No,
Cadre?
This is the Ret Cadre is the crisis suit one.
Oh, okay. So what's the new one?
That's auxiliary Cadre.
Yeah,
that's
Cadres,
the one where they
everything's okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was excited. I was like, "Oh, is this the new one?" But no,
nope.
It's the fucking battlesuit one. All right. I actually think this one's cool. The battlesuit Towels just coming down. I mean, they used to come down within 3, which would so much better. 6 inches kind of nerfed them a little bit.
Mm-hmm. They did, but then they changed the ruling, so they still get that +1 AP now, and all the benefits even at 6 inch. So they nerfed them and then realized it went too far, and at least they still get some of the benefits of their detachment from 6 inch.
Did they? Was it a FAQ when they released it?
I believe it was the FAQ a couple weeks after, but yeah, they adjusted it so they get some of their bonuses now.
So so basically, is it like the strat says that if they come down, they still are within 6?
No, I think they changed the distance on it. I think the distance at which you get the bonuses is different, so you can get it within that 6 now. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they adjusted it so that they will get that bonus from 6 inches.
Gotcha. So maybe it's within 7 inches.
It's something. Yeah, it's a weird number. I don't know what it is now, but it was enough that it makes this a lot more playable. And you don't see much Tau right now, even though a lot of people have them, and people think it's a little weak. But I think in the meta, after playing it, it's strong. It's good. And he also told me afterwards, the last 2 GTs he went undefeated in both. So,
oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so really this was on Terraform, and he got first turn. And so he had some scouts, or like the infiltrator squads that were terraforming turn 1, nothing in the middle of the objective, and then he had a ghost kill in the far one. And this is the one where I have to run 1,000,000 miles to get to him. I can't hold the middle easily. I have no shooting he cares about. He can look at anything and kill it if he wants, whatever. Like, he can just line up enough things. So I was worried. So this matchup, I put 6 Fiends and the Soul Grinder in Deep Strike, because I knew the Soul Grinder is too slow to get to him. And if I try to hold a point, he's going to do so much damage. He not only kills the Fiends, if I try to Thieves of Pain it, he'll probably kill my Demonettes, the Epitome, and still my Soul Grinder, and I'll just lose everything. And this is also a matchup where I think a different player might have played it differently, which that's a useless statement, but I mean, a Slash player with less experience, because instead of going after he gave me 1 unit to fight, which was just, I think, a Pathfinder squad that he put on a point that was near me, and I threw out a Secret Chariot at it, 65 points. I charge, I get rerolls to advance and hidden, rerolls to hidden wound when I charge it, because I know it's not going to hurt me. And then it's anti-infantry 4-up on a charge. And so I killed almost a whole squad. Funny enough, I actually failed a 4-inch charge, turn 1. So CP reroll, first turn, which was great. I killed all of them but 2. And he ended up insane bravery on his turn, just so they wouldn't die and they do actions with them, which kind of bit him later. So he did that, and then he lined up some shooting to kill it. But like I said, you need a plan B. He didn't line up enough shooting, and one thing couldn't shoot me. I did the -1 strat, and he got a 7 instead of, he needed an 8. Didn't get it, so they couldn't shoot. And the other stuff that went to shoot it, I Thieves the Painted away, because I tossed a secondary card I couldn't get. So I used up all my CP, but saved my Chariot to get primary. And also because he moved his Crute up next to it to try to take the point. He just auto-seed me on the point, thinking I'm going to kill the Chariot, I have to pull something else out. So that didn't work out for him. So on my turn 1, I'd also staged some Fiends next to the Ghost Keel. So turn 2, the Fiends go to the Ghost Keel, they make a charge. The Secret Chariot with the pistol kills the Pathfinder guys, because she had 6 shots, and then she charged into Carnivore squad and kills them to the man. Just perfect squad. So that squad's dead. So basically all of his screening squads are dead. I killed the Ghost Keel to the wound with my Fiends, with Dev. And so that died. And now I held a point in the far corner. I held the closest point. And everything else was kind of in hiding, because I couldn't be in the open or he would just kill me. And so he came down. He thought I was going to I put Demon Eps within 12 inches of the Fiends. So he set it up thinking I'm going to try to save them. I knew they were dead. They did their job. They killed a Ghost Kill and pulled him out. He put some stuff down from Deep Strike. He had a lot of stuff in Deep Strike. And then when he finished his movement phase, I 6-inch deep truck, rapid ingress. It's the 6 Fiends in an area that he couldn't shoot me. That was 9 inches away from him. And so now he killed 6 Fiends, killed the Secret Chariot. But my next turn, I charged him with 6 more Fiends. I deep struck the Soul Grinder in the center to hold the point. Shalaxi made a charge into another squad. Keeper made a charge into another squad. And then something else made a charge into something. So I basically
had 2 big fucking monsters and a unit of Fiends in his lines, just killing his dudes.
Yeah, and he was effectively in his deployment zone at that point. He was barely out, and so I was keeping him there. So the other point of, can he wipe me? Probably, but now he has to take a lot of time to do it. And so I kill a bunch of units. and then his next turn he goes to shoot Shalaxi. 1 CP, he fails, and he hit
I
the
noticed
point.
a trend here.
Yeah, every spoiler, every round I used it, he failed it. And so he went to shoot me, and he was going to fire and fade. He had nothing else to shoot. He couldn't fire and fade. So he was now had a second squad, the teleporting squad, next to Shalaxi. Couldn't shoot. Left a hole in his back line where I just dropped something, where I could have dropped something, but I didn't end up doing it there. But now he had a hole in his back line. And so Shalaxi went and killed that squad. Soul Grinder went up and killed something else. The 6 fiends died that had charged the previous round, but I had 6 more fiends that came up and triple charged everything. And then, at that point, my demonettes are also hiding in this little corner. And so he killed those fiends. He just ignored Shalaxi and the Keeper. I had his home objective. I had the middle. And he took his fire knife, the squad with all the flamers, to go take my home objective with fire and fade. This is where the 12-inch of because I also needed to save 1 CP so I wouldn't kill Shalaxi. She was on 3 wounds, and so I needed to make sure he couldn't shoot her. So he couldn't get 12 inches away from my epitome. I said, hey, on a 6 you can't shoot me. I warned him beforehand too, like, hey, remember this. I rolled it, got a 6. He's fire knife squad. Now we're 3 inches from my home objective, but they couldn't get on it. And they were just stuck there.
Wow, yeah.
Because they couldn't fire and fade. Then he also had 1 CP strat. He couldn't kill my Shalaxi because he couldn't shoot me. And that was the game. It was just, I mean, this matchup gets horrendous when you're at -2 to shoot me the whole time. And that was kind of how it is. But if I hadn't put the 6 fiends in the air with the Soul Grinder, I probably would have lost because he held me a bunch of points. He also shot a bunch of the stealth suits. And the big thing into playing Tau, kill off their things that are guiding. So I killed all his stealth suits early, and so his guides were inefficient, and sometimes he couldn't guide. And now he's hitting me on 4s, or hitting the Keeper on 5s, or you need to now guide with something that you'd rather shoot with. So it worked out there. In case people play that matchup, that's kind of how you get into it. But he's a really good player, really scary matchup, and I really won. It was close still at 85-65. Like, it's a 20-point swing, but it easily could have swung in his favor if a couple rolls went a different way.
I really like his list. It's just a ton of small elite shooting units that you have to chase down to kill, and some of them have 4 invuln saves, so it's like pretty fucking scary.
Yeah,
How much did he have in Deep Strike?
Yeah, so he had 1 squad of broadsides that are in Strat Reserve, and then he started on the board the Crisis Suit squad that can uppy downy, because why not? And then he had 4 Crisis Suit squads with captains in Deep Strike, and so that was scary.
Everything's coming down,
because then he can just, whatever he needs to drop down, do you have a screen out? He'll drop the guys with all the cannons, the burst fire cannons, like 42 shots. Cool, they're dead. I put out the Soul Grinder. He 6-inch deep strikes the plasma squad, and now they kill me 100% because you're rolling everything. It's a ton of wounds with Melta, and I'm just dead. And so whatever. And then the Flamer squad, he was really smart. He rapid them behind the thing he knew I was going to charge. But luckily with Overwatch, I can still Thieves of Pain, and so he didn't kill my whole Fiend squad, but he still put a ton of damage and almost wiped my Demonette squad. So yeah, he played it well, and they have a lot of tools, and they just hit hard, and they're hard to kill. I think they might be a good answer into some of those Ultramarine matchups where you just drop broadsides, they look at a tank, and it's dead. 4 broadsides shooting like some big tank, and that's dead for sure at like 4 shots, AP4, AP5, whatever it is, it's gone.
He doesn't have a Commander Farsight, which usually everybody has that guy.
Yeah, he didn't have the points, is what he was saying. And then he needed something else. I think he liked the movement was part of it. Having that extra movement was huge. He used it really well.
Just the extra flamers too. So the commander has 4 flamers. No, 3 flamers instead of Farsight, which is just 2 shots.
And I feel like he wasn't missing the +1 to wound. He was wounding. He was doing a ton of damage. I mean, by the end of the game, I had almost no resources left. that were doing anything, because he could kind of at that point look at something. It's just he couldn't get on the points, or he was stuck in combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the far side being able to do a free strat every turn. It's like rapiding for free Overwatch, shit like that. That definitely help out with CP. But he obviously knows his list a lot more than I do, so that's scary. So that was that. What was your closest matchup so far?
That one
out of those 4, that was
so
the one.
The first one was close in that weird way because it was like that back and forth. But this one, it was very high level, a lot of movement. We're very nice. Like we both. Hey, at one point I accidentally, I said, hey, I'm going to hide the guy behind a building. And then on his turn, he's like, hey, you meant to put him right here, right? It's like, yeah. So we just, he let me just kind of push something, because otherwise you would have saw the tip of my tail. So it was one of those matchups, competitive, very good. But I was sweating because whenever he dropped something down, I'm like, you could just blow me up. And what do I do? Then he was sweating every time he rolled his dice to battle shock. He's like, by the end of the game, he's like, I'm done. I can't.
Wow. That's awesome. That's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So we won game 4. Going into game 5, championship round. Did you think you were going to get Sasha?
Yes. So I thought I was getting Sasha for sure, because I was looking at win path and everything else on BCP app. And my win path was at like 60, like the win rate was like 65% for my opponents. His was like 62 or something, or I think 60 at that point. Might have been less. And then I was like, this is going to be a crazy matchup. Sasha's one of the best players in probably the US, maybe in the world. And so I'd love to get this and whatever. And I thought I may have some play into his list, because if I touch him, I can just kind of murder him. I didn't get him. I ended up getting Alex, who's another local player who's really good. Normally plays Necrons. But he was playing a Death Guard list. That was... The title of it is basically hitting on 5+ in melee, ride straight to hell. P.S. I'm very sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that right here.
Yep.
42 fucking Nurglings.
Yeah.
At -2 to hit. Pure fucking cancer. Backed up by fuck you. I ignore modifiers. Mortarion. And the one true harbinger of the plague, Typhus. Have fun. This is his title. Have fun with trying to kill 42 Nurglings while getting to... I didn't know you can make a title this long. Getting 2 objectives. It's hitting on 5+ in melee, ride straight to hell. Wow. Yeah.
So that was what I played into. I was very worried. I have one screenshot that I sent you that shows the deployment round 1. But he basically, his round 4 opponent was also Slaanesh Demons. And he made this list, because I talked to him, to kill this. He's like, Slaanesh Demons are going to be popular. They're really good right now. I think this destroys him. And then one of his training partners plays Slaanesh, and he beat him every time. And so he was very confident going into this. And so it was also, luckily it was on Purge. So Purge definitely helped me out for once, which I kind of played around it fairly well on this one, because he doesn't have a great way to kill me. I mean, his list is 42 Nurglings, Morty, a couple Icon Bearers, Typhus, Tallyman, 2 squads of 5 Plague Marines, a Rhino.
Hold on, Just. I'm actually looking at it real quick, because he said he beat this Slaanesh list prior to you. So he had Slaanesh.
Yes,
in the last 2 games. So I'm noticing he had a Tormentor of Exalted, Seeker Chariot, so the character chariot, 20 Demonettes, not 10, Plague Bearers for the sticky, 3 min units of Fiends, so completely different, Seeker Chariot, Seekers, and a Soul Grinder. So kind of really different from your list.
Yes, so that was Edgar. We talked a bunch while we was there. And so the challenge that we play this very differently. So there's a strat that I never really use. I use it only a couple times. Where if I charge you, for every model that gets within engagement, that's if it's a non-monster unit, on a 4-up, you take a mortal. And so he would do that with 10 Demonettes. He would charge into something, use that strat, do 5 to 6 mortals, and then do all the other damage after, and you have 10 Demonettes. So for at 100 points, it's really efficient. Yeah, his Demonettes actually did things, unlike mine. And then he had Plague Bearers that held his point. But with having, the Torment Bringer, and the Mass Shalaxi Keeper, 1 Soul Grinder, he only had 9 total fiends. And so his damage output was way lower. He was much more about playing the secondary game, about screening and shenanigans. Where I was full throttle. I hope I can just wipe everything on the board, and that's my preferred pressure style.
So it's completely different. Now I got the Death Guard list up. We have the Icon Bear, which actually he was like my secret tech when the 10th edition came out, because just being able to advance and do the -1 AP or -1 to hit, like he actually is pretty good. Did he have him in a squad or was he solo?
Both of them were solo.
Oh, he's 2 Icon Bears, so and one with a living plague, so it's 15 inches after he like advances or does whatever. So that I love that tech. That when that first came out, I was like, that is fucking awesome. 45 points to get a 12-inch like whatever I want aura. So that's hilarious. Mortarion ignores everything. Tallyman, Typhus, 5-man, Rhino, Cultist, Bloat Drone, Hauler, 20 Poxwalkers, and then 9, and 6. All right, so I have a picture. Let's pull this up for you real quick. So this is the picture. Why the fuck did he... Okay, so explain this to me.
Yep.
How many Nurglings is this? 9 times 5.
This is 42.
45. That seems 4 and 6. Wow.
So it's 42 Nurglings. He put him on the line because this is his play style, and he said he's played into this list, and it worked into the other Slash Demon player as well. So he puts him on a line. He hopes he gets turn 1. He did. And so his turn 1, he advanced. I don't have a picture for after this, but all of those were an inch away from me. It was just they were wrapping around buildings because they couldn't go through them, but they'd wrap around every little corner. I couldn't barely move anything up, and that's why for me I started everything on the line. The only thing that was back were my demonettes and a secret chariot, just so that he couldn't somehow shoot them too much or get into combat or whatever. I kept them a little safe. But that was it. Everything else was on the line waiting for him because I knew what he was going to do when he started deploying. And so I just said, all right, bet. You don't think I can kill these? I have one way to win this, and that's to throw everything I have at you. And so he got first turn. Even though it was Purge, he just did it anyway. He threw them all up at me and just said, and then his whole army advanced up for his Tallyman. The Tallyman stayed in his home objective. That's all he did. He's trying to get CP. Everything else advanced. The one mistake he made is in the Rhino, he had the 2 Icon Bearers and the Plague Marines. He thought you could get out of it after you advanced, and you cannot. And so he couldn't give that massive aura, like you're mentioning, to my whole deployment zone. So my Fiends in my deployment zone were mostly hitting on 4s at the -1 instead of 5s at the -2. And so that helped out with the math. And so basically with that, no surprise, my turn 1, I charged him with everything except for my demonettes. That was the only thing he didn't charge. And then my mask was in a little building, kind of just giving +1 to wound. But with that, I killed almost all his Nurglings turn 1. So I got...
I'm wondering now, you probably talked about this after the fact, but if he would have just deployed 9 Nurglings and then maybe 9 Nurglings and then maybe 9 Nurglings, like just spread them all the way out and just kind of like defended his line, would it be a different game?
Yeah, and so that's what I was saying to him too, is that I think it could have, against my list, where you should... I told him how much damage I can do. I'm like, hey, three squads of 6 Fiends is 90 attacks re-rolling. That's absurd. Damage too. And so they can, even out hitting on 4s and 5s re-rolling, I'm still doing a ton of damage. So I think if it would have been maybe one big layer to block me, and then next turn, the other layer comes in and just make this sequential so it just blocks me a little bit longer. Because basically what happened, his goal was to obviously keep me out primary. He also took fixed secondaries, by the way.
What did he take?
He had Cleanse and Engage. And so as soon as he took those fixed secondaries, he only had one game plan. He had to get Engage for a good amount of points and Cleanse for it. And so with that, I knew I could just go full at him. And what I need to do is tie up everything I could. So as soon as I broke out, turn 1, I just charged everything I could see. I didn't care if I could kill it. I didn't care if it could potentially kill me. The only goal was to make it so it's harder for him to cleanse and harder for him to move or engage. And so really it went from a list that I thought I was going to lose for sure based on the dice rolls. I'm like, how do you win this? I can't do anything. But with full rerolls, things happen, and he's only saving on 6s. Yeah. And so he did that. He also turn 2, he charged me with Morty into my Keeper and my Soul Grinder. But I just kept Thieves of Painting my Soul Grinder so he couldn't kill it. And I wore down Morty slowly with the 2 of them. Just slowly falling back, charging again, not giving up full rerolls, and just killing him. So I killed him on, I believe, round 3. But his list, I mean, when you read it off, there's almost no damage. Like his most damaging things were the Poxbringers, the Poxwalkers. But what I did, he put Poxwalkers with Typhus up early. Like he charged them really close to me. I had Shalaxi on one side and Keeper on the other. As soon as he pushed those forward, I switched them. Shalaxi went into that squad, into the Typhus squad with full rerolls because I get it automatically. He's now a character squad. I precision Typhus out, and now that squad is infinitely worse because they don't get that extra -1, the hit penalty. They don't regen as much, and now they're stuck in combat with Shalaxi. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. And so that worked. And then really after that, there was no real science to it. I pushed and I just kept pushing, holding primary. And by turn 3, bottom of turn 3, he had almost nothing left on the map. He had some cultists that were in combat. He had some Poxbringers in combat. And then he had the Tallyman at his home objective and then like 1 or 2 other things. Everything else was dead. And so
I'm just looking at this list and it's like,
yeah,
I think with this many, like if you're going to bring this many Nurglings, you have to, you had first, right? So even if you have 18 Nurglings spread across the table, you're going to just run forward and block them in the deployment zone. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, just have fucking 2 ranks of guys moving forward to have you then again not move forward. And at that point, you have them charging you in your deployment zone.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. That definitely would have changed it. And also, it kind of sucks because it's Purge of the Foe. So if he goes first, he basically is giving up kill 1. You know, because you get kill 1, and then now you're up by 4 points.
And that also hurt him really bad because he's basically attacking me with Nurglings, Poxwalkers, and Morty. And Morty was in my 2 tankiest things that couldn't really kill efficiently. Yeah. And so he didn't actually get a kill, I think, until round 3 or 4.
Damn.
I think yeah. So like I was getting a kill.
Like a kill. Like killing 1 unit. He
killing. He got. He killed on round 2 and round 3. He killed a unit. That was it. Because his primary was 0, 12, 12, 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. And so that was rough. Where I was getting kill more every round. And so his increase in primary is getting negated by my kill more. So we're kind of tying out. And then, then I was getting 16 and I was going to get 16 again. While also able to do my secondaries because my Secret Chariots and my Demonettes were able to kind of do secondaries on the side. I also got some good secondaries like No Prisoner, Storm Hostile, Assassinate, Area Denial, Containment. So I was able to do a lot of my secondaries while killing everything I could find. It was, it was definitely a meta. He thought he would get into meta lists, and I mean, he played into other lists, and he was doing really well. His other scores were really good, 81, 96, 80 in the 80s with basically a jail squad that couldn't generally kill things.
I think that's all this list is. It's 3 units of cultists, just scouting 6, fucking all of these Nurglings. You only have 2 units of Plague Marines, 2 Icon Bearers, which are only there for the aura, 2 of the Blight Haulers, and then Poxwalkers.
Yeah, and he beat T-Suns because I think T-Suns doesn't have enough activations or damage to get through this. So he just pushed him through.
The four wound nurglings.
Yeah, and then he went through a pretty standard mixed regiments Astra Militarum list. Same issue. I mean, Nurglings will at that point just charge you too, and they'll charge all your tanks, and they charge everything. And again, you just get jailed. And even if you get tabled, it doesn't matter because you're going to win on primary, and he's getting engage and cleanse every round. So, yeah, it's an interesting list. I don't know if I ever want to play against it again because it's a little scary, a little memey, but it worked. And that was, yeah. And so that was the last round. And then it ended up being both Sasha, Edelkraut, and I ended 5-0. But I ended up having more battle points, and my opponent win rate was 64. His was 48. And so with strength of schedule and battle points, I just eked him out.
Yeah, so 48 win percentage compared to your 64, you just fucking crushed that. I mean, that just means like the players that you played won more than his players.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Which I love. You know, it's like you didn't just get to the top by just beating everybody that had an 0-5 record. Like you had a really strong record. But two people going 5-0 in a 5-round GT for this size is awesome. And again, you beat out Sasha, which again is the top player, one of the top players in the world, which again is awesome. So congrats. This is first stepping stone. Do you have the trophy?
I do. Yeah. Let me grab it real quick.
Yeah, grab that.
And one coming as well. Nice. But yeah, this is the one. This is the best overall. Yeah, it's see-through transparent, so it's it looks pretty cool in person. That's awesome. Best overall, super happy. This is my first GT win, hopefully first of many. But I mean, to that point, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the strong meta, for starting to play competitive, to going out there and trying to find good players and being okay with losing. So like, if you guys want to do the same thing, be okay with losing. Some guys really good, play them again, have fun, be nice. You know, a lot of informative videos, some great ones, obviously, I mentioned already on the Dirtbag channel, but also the Discord. I mean, I play on TTS there with some guys. So if you ever want to get a game, I'm there. I'm active in the Discord. Love to talk to people, especially talk about demon play and any tactics. And it's just a great community. So, yeah, it's a way to find other people that are like-minded and want to get better together.
I got to remind me after this, I got to update you to the Cuddle Buddy and get you into the Patreon chat as well. So if people got any questions, they can hit you up. So Discord is in the description below. But yeah, so anything, I mean, after the 5 games, was there anything you would change about the list? Like, do you think this is like the next GT list, or are you going to wait for the updates, or you want to test out a different variant of this list?
Yeah, so I do think it's going to get hit with something, because I think right now it is like, yeah, let's be honest.
It's so good.
I played it well, but it's a great detachment. It's really strong. I think this Ultramarines, various lists, and then Bridgehead are just far and above. You know, really, really good with good players. So I think this is going to get hit, and I want to hope it's still playable. You know, maybe reduce some of the strat ranges or make them a little bit worse, something like that, and then make it a little bit more playable. And I'd be happy to play this because I like pressure, but I'm playing around with the index damage demonic incursion because it got buffed. So now you can, for 1 CP, 6-inch deep strike and charge. Nice. And so now that opens up a world of, interestingly enough, I think it makes Khorne better in that list than in the Khorne detachment, because now you can drop Scarbrand. He has a 6-inch bubble for 12 Blood Crushers. Drops 6 Blood Crushers over here at 6-inch, and here's my whole army on turn 2. Have fun. Yeah. So I'm going to be playing around with that, but with this list, I try to play around with some points, see if I can make it better, but I just think it kind of is an all-comer. The Soul Grinder is really hard for some lists to deal with. You can put on a point early, and they don't have a great way to kill it because of the Thieves of Pain. It's being T11, 3-up, 4-up. It's annoying to kill. The Fiends make it so I can kill anything. Infantry, I can kill tanks with Dev. You know, on average, it's 12 to 14 Dev with full rerolls. That's awesome. Shalaxi kills anything. The Keeper is really annoying. It's tough. It just doesn't let go, and everything moves quick. So I kind of have a mix of everything, and even the Mask. The Mask is amazing with Lona because either it makes you better in the fight phase, or she does great secondary play, or she just holds points at the end while the rest of your army goes up. So I really like this list. I tried making it different. I don't think I'll be changing it. We'll see with any updates if points changes or anything else. But demons are in a good spot right now. They have multiple potential attachments, and they're a good time to play. If you like Deep Strike, if you like just big scary monsters, pick them up.
Nice. Well said. Well, again, congrats, Just. Proud of you. Glad you came in the area. Definitely also have a new teammate who is super down to earth, knows the game, understands the game, can explain the game. And when you were explaining what you were doing each game, it wasn't just like, this detachment's broken. It's more of like, I did it this way because I drew him out with these fiends, even though I knew I wasn't going to do the 12-inch, transfer of damage. I brought him out, which then my other fiends were able to like shit like that is showing that you were a good player with a good attachment that won a GT. Like that is awesome, man. Congrats.
Appreciate it. I mean, I wouldn't be here without like, honestly, with your channel and others like this. I wouldn't have been,
bro.
It's really what gets you that next step. Yeah, and so please just pay attention to these things. Battle reports are great, but if you can watch a short video that teaches you just one thing, just watch it while you're like eating dinner or having lunch, you have some free time, just kind of remind yourself and get in there. Just get reps in and have fun. It's a great game.
We have a live battle report, don't we?
Yes,
we have the first one, the Chaos Cold versus the Slanesh Demons.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the first ones, and working on some other battle reports. And what's fun too is a lot of times with TTS, Tabletop Simulator, other people just join and watch and just kind of shit talk you too, and it's a good time. But they're also there to learn, and so you can just have fun with other guys. So meeting up a lot of kind of making friends all over the place now. It's a good time.
That's great. Well, Just, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the channel and explaining what worked for you with this, and first GT win for ever. So first year within a year, first GT win, 5-0, and now I can't wait to see what you do in 2025. This first GT win counts for 2025, so you're already off to an awesome start for ITC rankings. So
yeah,
good luck,
I'm excited.
my friend. I'm excited. Anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, just thanks to the Cuddle Buddies. 40k Dirtbag guys are great, and I do want to shout out again to Dumpster Fire guys, who are a local team, huge. Sasha's the captain for them. They're all nice guys, super fun, a lot of great events. If you ever see them on any event, go up and talk to them. They're in bright orange.
Bright orange.
They stand out, and they're
awesome.
all like 6'2". It's crazy. But yeah, just a lot of the local guys. Shout out to like JW, really taught me how to play. Anthony, who's close. So it's a community. It's great. And just join it. Have fun. And thanks for the opportunity. Glad to talk through this. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. And if you guys want to check out, just head over to the Dirtbag Nation Discord in the description below. We got the coaching. And then we have a bunch of new shit coming up on the channel as well, especially with the 40k Dirtbag merch. A lot of the new widgets are going to be shipping out soon. And we got a lot of stuff planned for 2025. So guys, appreciate it. Good luck. And we'll see you in another video soon. What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. If you guys are interested in joining the Dirtbag Nation over at patreon.com, you get a bunch of perks. What we did in 2024 was we really expanded. I had traveled a ton and I played my ass off in 40k. Right now we're ranked #1 best player in the United States on ITC rankings. We were the #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world this year in 2024. 2 years ago, we got ranked #1 Grey Knight player in the world, and this year we're probably going to go into Death Guard, hopefully when the new Codex comes out, or Emperor's Children. But you guys, if you guys want that head coach or that coach always in your corner, just to ask questions, bounce ideas off, that's what the competitive Dirtbag and the Dirtbag Nation is all about. If you guys want to support the channel, you head over to patreon.com. You can join the Justicar tab, which is $5 a month. You guys get access to the Discord Patreon tab. You have to be a patron to get into that Discord, and also I'm always there. All the other coaches are there. Basically, it's just such a good community over on Discord that you guys get specific access to it that only Patreons can get. If you guys want to bump that up, the competitive Dirtbag tier, you guys get to message me or another Grandmaster or another Dirtbag coach over the Dirtbag Nation to add unlimited questions, list ideas, list reviews, and bounce ideas off of. That's what having a coach in your corner is all about. If you guys want to bump up to the Grandmaster tier, that tier you get every perk under the sun. So basically you get access to Discord, you get one-on-one coaching, you get a call once a month if you guys would like to go over any RTTs coming up, any GTs coming up, any list reviews live over Discord chat, and also a special perk that Grandmasters get. If you guys want any video suggestions like we do all the time with these table setups that we just upgraded thanks to the Patreons, you guys get suggestions or battle reports you want to see specifically played live by a coach or myself on the next battle report, or a live battle report coming up on the Patreon. So you guys get obviously first access to all the videos. We post them first on patreon.com, but there's just a ton of benefits to having a professional coach that plays this game all the time at the very, very high competitive level in your corner at all times. And that's really what the Dirtbag Nation is all about, getting you guys better at 40K, the basics, and being good in your community. So if you guys want to support the channel, I really appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you guys in 2024, 2025. I am super stoked for, super excited for. We really want to get a bigger studio going. That is going to be my focus in 2025, is really growing the community on YouTube and Patreon specifically. So thank you so much for 2024, all my Patreons. If you guys are interested in joining and want that coach in your corner, head over to patreon.com and support the channel. Appreciate it.